Hello. I swore I would do an extra video this week, and here I am. And we are doing exceptional cask selection Mark 24 and 25 from Foursquare Distillery in the southeast of Barbados. Foursquare. I really like Foursquare. I don't review a lot of Foursquare. Not every release that comes out anyways, because I feel like they get a lot of exposure already. That being said, so does Hamden, and I review them anyways. Don't think about this for too long. But yeah, I've got some Foursquare lying around, and this is the first time of year when I'm trying to catch up on what everyone else has already reviewed. So we're going to talk about this. But yeah, in general, I don't know. I feel like I should be leaving Foursquare reviews to the channels that can actually put some polish on their work, like Arminder is actually over at Rum Revival. He actually had me in his year-end video. Thank you, Arminder. That being said, he's taking a little bit of time. Maybe I should talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. He is taking some time off, so maybe I have to pick up the Foursquare slack a little bit. All right, let's get into these. I am also still a little bit sick. Yesterday, after recording my video for the previous video, I actually coughed so hard I threw up a little bit, which is horrifying. Hopefully, that will not happen on camera today. But I'm going to baby my palate with some houses that I already know pretty well, until I'm at 100%. So bear with me. All right, let's get started. Foursquare Vintage. The 2011 might be the last Foursquare vintage, at least for a while. I think everything that's set to come out from here, to the near future is just supposed to be named with their funny Latin names and stuff. But this is a full vintage, so all bourbon cask, pot and column still blend. You know what these look like. I reviewed it, I think, the 2008, 2007, and 2005 of this already. So you can watch those reviews down below. And I imagine this will be kind of right down that same alley. So bourbon cask, 60% ABV. Let's go. I mean, I know people knock Foursquare for just being maybe a hair too obvious. It's wood driven and it's bourbon drinker friendly, but there's just no way to deny the quality on this. I mean, it smells like I know I've used this term before. It smells like a southern dessert cart. It smells like pineapple upside down cake, lane cake. That's the cake with all nuts and the bourbon filling. Go look it up, because it shows up everywhere in bourbon cask rum. Coffee cake, most certainly. There's some cinnamon sugar stuff going on. Cola, but it's not actual cola. It's more like the little the cola candies, the little ones that look like soda bottles. Black pepper, lots of black pepper, vanilla, some dried cherry, just a good old American oak, sawdust, cooperage sawdust. Some nice tobacco notes coming in. There's some Virginia burley flake coming in a little bit, like McBaron at their best. Not gross McBaron, the good stuff. There's also a subtle kind of leafy thing going on, though. It's like some wet forest leaves or something. And speaking of tobacco, there's a little hint of Latakia in this. Just a little bit of like old school Syrian Latakia. Sweet tea, as long as we're staying in the south. Very, very classic Foursquare nose, except for that little like wet leaves thing, which is I feel like I've gotten leaves in Foursquare before, but everything else is very like bam, straight down the middle. Dollop of like German forest honey in this. It's very dense. Maybe some kind of coffee thing, like a freshly ground dark roast Brazilian coffee. I mean, it's so if you have a bias against this kind of profile, like you might just say, "Oh, it's just a lot of wood. It's bourbony, whatever." You know, you might kind of file it away in the same way that some of like I tend to not be dismissive, but think about it in the same way that I think of some of the rums, the independent bottlings from Belize, from Travelers. It's really only like but if you pay attention to this, if you hang with it, there's just so much little stuff going on. I know there's a little bit of fennel happening. Even a touch of like a sea salt thing. No, there's enough in there to remind you that, hey, I'm a rum. I am not just a American wood bomb for bourbon fans. Really nice, dense nose. If you have had the vintage releases before, this isn't going to super surprise you, but I haven't had them in a while, and this is always just good. On the palate. Ooh. I think being sick has made me a little bit more sensitive to alcohol than I normally would be, because it's a little prickly. It's just always good, like this stuff. These are always good bottlings. Prices crept up over the last couple of years, and you know what? It's still worth it. The quality is absolutely still there. A lot of the same stuff for the nose. The rummy character is more present on the palate, actually. The leaves, the wet leaves are there. The fennel is there. There's some salted licorice as well. A couple of olives in there, just thrown in for fun, like a couple of black olives. But is there Southern dessert card? Yes. Lane cake, pineapple cake, coffee cake, all that goodness, sweet tea, some strong-ass coffee. Absolutely. Cherry, vanilla, all the woody notes. Hint of like dry ginger, good dry ginger. Or even like a candied ginger kind of thing. But then it's like someone dipped into their like tobacco pouch or their tobacco tin and just took out all the flakes of Burley, Virginia at once and just slapped them down on the same dessert cart. That's kind of what this tastes like. But you've also got those rummy notes. Mouth presence is tremendous. Like, this is just attacking my tonsils, which I love. Great mouth length. Hangs on pretty long, and it's not just the wood tannins that are hanging on the finish. It's other stuff. There's a little, like the fruit is coming through. The pineapple cola notes are coming through. There's a little bit of floral in this too. It just feels nice to drink. It's peppery. It's very accessible if you have a kind of American whiskey sort of palate, but it's also its own thing, and it's just really well done, which is how these vintage releases tend to be. So let's give this some water. See how it reacts. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if you don't like this style, if it's just too woody, too bourbony for you, I mean, I guess I understand, but you do not try to debate with me on the quality of this. It's just really darn well made. Moving on. So this is the Mark XXV Foursquare Equipoise, which is a 14-year-old. What the heck is with that name? Equipoise. I mean, it's... You can look into the etymology. It's basically just equal poise, right? It's something like that. And it has a couple of meanings. It was the name of a thoroughbred racing horse back in the 30s. It was the name of... It's the name of a kind of term in medical ethics, which is basically the question of, you're running an experiment, right? Nobody cares about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because it's fun. You run an experiment, testing some new drug, new treatment, whatever. You have to have a control group, right? A group that gets placebo. What happens if, like, you're going through the experiment and it's really, really, really becoming clear how things are going? Say it's a treatment for some really bad ailment. The intervention group is doing way better. Control group is just still being control group. What's the point at which you say, okay, from an ethical point of view, we really need to start giving the real juice to the control group, because that's just the right thing to do. You end your experiment at that point, right? But like it seems like you should be giving them the real stuff. Anyway, so that's a fun ethical debate, and it's one of the names. It's clinical equipoise. It's also the name of an anabolic steroid, a synthetic, basically a synthetic modified testosterone. So bold and known, I wrote this down, undecylenate, which is bold and known as one of those old androgens, synthetic androgens that were developed right after the war, and kind of lost out in clinical effectiveness to like nandrolone, which we still use for like cancer treatment and stuff. And but boldenone did have a second life in veterinary treatment, particularly with horses, under the name of Equipoise. And the interesting thing about Equipoise is the half-life is ungodly long. So if you're a Foursquare fan and you got a bottle of Equipoise, remember to stop drinking it about 10 weeks out during your test prep. You do not want to be on your Foursquare Equipoise as you go into your bodybuilding posing. Anyways, I haven't even said what this is. It's a 14-year-old Foursquare aged in ex-bourbon and ex-Calvados casks. So you're talking about... Don't say ex-apple brandy, because pears are involved too. You can say ex-cider brandy casks. So I have no idea what this is going to be like. Let's see what we got. 61% alcohol, though. So initially, I'm not getting like a parade of appliness. I'm just going to say that up front. I'm more getting French oak on my Foursquare than anything else. Yeah, really, the vibe I'm getting is something like the 2011 with a big old spicy French oak overcoat. So yeah, you've got your southern dessert cart, you got your pineapple upside down cake, your coffee cake, your lane cake, your tobacco, Oh, actually, there's some olive pretty evident on the nose right there. But then on top of all of that, boy howdy, is there some like black pepper, lots of black pepper, and like tea leaves, maybe like tea leaves that have been used once and then they kind of dried out. Black tea leaves, and yeah, fig. There's some dried cherry, dried prune, getting a little bit of like a dried peach thing. Oh, and there it is. There's some like dried apple in this too. The apple, it's there, but it's not like a bright, happy dessert apple. This is more like dried apple, even like cider apple. Cider, like a bitter apple. Brown sugar, like muscovado. This is really interesting. Like if you handed this to me without my knowing what it is, I might think it's an Armagnac. I wouldn't say Calvados, but I might think it's an Armagnac because it's intensely French woody, and it's kind of weird. Yeah, interesting, fun. Black pepper. There is some like cola coming through, cola cubes. On the palate. Ooh. It's a spicy meatball. Yeah, so on the one hand, I am still a little bit sensitive to alcohol because I'm just coming off a cold. But this brings a really intense, it's almost like a curried character in terms of how it attacks your mouth. Ooh. I mean, it's kind of the same vibe of the palate in the 2011, but with kind of an overcoat. Really, like, dark, dense, Armagnac muddy. It's got that kind of, like, almost a Barillon mud kind of thing to it. But there is, in that, like, some fig. There's a touch of floral in there. Cola. This is on top of all the kind of dessert stuff, dessert cart stuff, the fennel, the tobaccos. Lots of black pepper. It's just big and intense and woody. I mean, this is, people complain about Foursquare just being a little bit too woody, and this is not going to change anyone's opinion. This is a very, very wood-driven rum. Oh, there is some apple there. There is a little, like, again, it's more bitter apple and a little bit of apple cheese. It's a Lithuanian thing. It's basically boiled down dried apples that are sweetened. Go to your local Polish/Lithuanian bakery. Hopefully they'll have apple cheese. It's bigger and meaner and tougher and woodier than the 2011. I'm not sure I actually like it more. I'm going to give it some water. We'll come back to it. 3, 4. It'll take 5. So yeah. No, yeah, I guess Arminder is taking some time off, and it's a huge bummer, because here I was thinking, oh man, finally I can focus on Slivovitz and Baijiu. Now that you know, the rum community on YouTube is really starting to step up, and I can switch to focus on other things, because that's kind of what I do. I focus on the stuff that doesn't get focused on by other folks. And yet, no, like, it, you know, Arminder is taking some time off, and I hope he comes back. Please come back, Arminder. We love your stuff. But like, I get it. He may have. In fact, I'm dead certain he's got his own particular things going on. But to be honest with you, YouTube video production, it's in general is just a meat grinder. Like, it just chews people out and spits them out. And I made a like, I made a very hard, not hard in the sense that it was difficult, but hard in, like, I made a very firm decision. Basically like a month or two into deciding I actually wanted to do this channel as like a thing, rather than just having it, you know, throwing in my Ray and Nephew review into the wind, that I was going to try to do as little production prettiness stuff as I could, that I just wanted to shoot and go, keep things lo-fi, keep it about the information. And, you know, if people don't want to watch the whole thing, that's cool. Like, they can put me on 2X, they can just go down and read the description and get some basic idea, maybe watch a little bit more if they need more than that. But I didn't want to do the thing that I had seen, like, just crush people. Because, like, my wife works in video production, so, and I have a little bit of experience myself. She has Adobe. I played around with it. I was much more of like a Vegas guy back in the day. I did more audio than that. But, like, I know how much work it takes. Like, you're doing, like, just picture in your brain, if you've never done this yourself, you spend a day doing setup, getting lighting right, getting your set right in your living room or whatever, getting cameras in focus, getting audio pickups right, doing everything right, and then you shoot, you do a whole bunch of takes, you're nervous, you get as much footage as you can. Maybe you're shooting like 2 or 3 videos at once, but that's like a whole day, and then you have to do teardown. And then, like, for each video, you're spending, then you go into post stuff, right? You're doing editing, you're getting the best takes you can, and you quickly learn to hate your own voice. You're cutting out your ums and uhs, and you're editing this thing. You're adding a little bit of bits of extra footage, and you need to go get those. You're adding music, and you need to go get that. And then you're doing animation, and suddenly you're in an hours-long struggle with After Effects, trying to get it to do the simplest, stupidest thing that it doesn't want to do. So, like, you're 2, maybe 3 days into this thing, putting up, you know, this 1, 5, maybe 10-minute video, which is super nice and polished, and that's 3 days worth of work, 2.5 days worth of work. That's half a week. And it goes up, and it gets 800 views, 1,000 views, which is like good. That's 800 people watching your little homemade video, right? That's pretty good in the broad scheme of things. But then you're getting, like, you're getting maybe tiny sponsorships, if anything at all. You're getting a couple of $100 from Patreon. By the way, thank you again to my Patreons. This is still a money-losing business, but it's you guys are keeping me afloat. That you are the people keeping this channel going. Thank you. You're getting a couple of $100 from that, and again, that's great. That's amazing. People are paying you money to put this stuff out, but you still have to, like, think to yourself, like, that's it? Like, that am I supposed to live on this? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And it's hard. Like it's hard. It breaks people after a few months of doing this, and just like and then you start to put out bullshit and you break through, or maybe you have a sugar daddy somewhere. I don't know, because you're putting out content that they like. Maybe get lucky, but most people, it just crushes them after a while. And again, I made the decision that I was going to put out lo-fi, rambly messes, and that's what I do. Because I figure if something is important enough, it's more important for the information to be out there. Even if it's in an imperfect form, and if it's important enough, like someone who's better at this than I am will pick it up and run with it. That's kind of where I am with this. So, I really hope Arminder Rum comes back, because rum deserves a really good champion. It really does here on YouTube. So here's hoping. And incidentally, like, I'm happy to see people support my channel and my my Patreon and all that. But if there's a gun to your head and you're a rum nerd and you need to decide, I think Arminder's trying to make this like a living in a way that I'm not. Like, I pretty much knew that I wasn't going to get over 1,000 subscribers or so from the beginning. And here I am at like 2,000 something, which is awesome. That's better than I was expecting. So go support him if there's a choice. Like make it possible for him to live his best life doing this. Anyhow, let's get back to these now that they've hopefully mellowed out a little bit. Back to the 2011. I hate it, but I kind of prefer this style. I really do. The Equipoise is this is tremendous rum. It might be. No, I don't want to put this in a way where I'm criticizing the Equipoise, because it's really good. I want to put this in a way where I'm praising the 2011. There's a freshness to this that I absolutely love. There's a it's the desserty thing. It's but there's also, what is that? Almost like a lime peel, like a key lime peel. That's what it is. Kind of brightness cutting through this. And I'm not sure if I didn't notice it before, or if it's just coming out with water. But yeah, this just smells so much brighter in comparison to the Equipoise. Yeah, it's woody, but it's also rummy. But it has almost like a bright, mouth-watering quality to it, which is really cool. Oh, there's that leafy thing I was getting before. Nice. On the palate. Finish is still going. It's still going. Yeah, I mean, again, if you don't like this style, cool, that's great. But I mean, the quality is there, man. It's like, it's a little bit, as a wine nerd, this is a little bit like tasting one of the classic Cali cabs, like I don't know, Mondavi Reserve or something like that. The big Stag's Leap stuff, things like that. Things up at that level. Insignia. Is it just super duper forward and obvious and super duper forward and obvious and just like kind of almost too stereotypical? Yeah, it is kind of like it. This is so Foursquare it almost hurts. But like, you have to step back and think, like, how long is the finish going? How amazing is the mouth presence? Is it complex? Like are there different levels of flavors going on and playing off of each other. And this is just, it's so good at what it does. Even if you think like it's just too much of a cartoon, oh, that's good. I can't get into the 90s with this, but I'm pretty close. If this had just a hair more like play in the distillate, I would be right there. Like I would happily hand this a 90, or even just a little bit more, a little bit more depth in the cask, a little bit more depth somewhere. I would be 90 land. But it's an 89. Foursquare 2011. This is a fabulous rum. 89 points. And if you've never bought yourself a Foursquare vintage before, the next, 10, 11 days is a pretty good time. Just saying. All right. Equipoise. Let's see what the water did to this. I'm hoping it loosened it up. But I'm kind of anticipating that the water would have just, made the wood tighten its fist that much more. No, it's actually loosened it up. It's throwing more of a, there's almost a cane syrup note on this, like a Steen's cane syrup. It's actually loosened up a little bit. That's great. Yeah, more dessert cart coming through, less like tea leaves and black pepper and like burned fig. No, but they've still got that appley thing, that little cider apple thing. Nice. It's woodier, but that's not making it structurally better, if that makes sense. It's the tannins on the finish are just, and the pepper and the mouthfeel are just attacking my mouth and clinging and clinging and clinging. But if you're paying attention, it isn't actually holding on any longer or any better than the basic 2011. Although again, I feel like the water is bringing out some of the friendlier notes on this, some of the brown sugars, some of the vanillas, some of the American oaky notes. It's still got the French oak kind of, and the muddiness, the muddy factor kind of in there, but it's pulled back on that a little bit. It's a similar level of quality. I think I'm a hair bit under the 2011 on this one. I'm going to call this like an 88 plus. And yeah, there you go. 89 for the Foursquare 2011, 88 plus for the Equipoise. And that is the video, I guess. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting me. And if by some chance you are a rum fan watching me and you're not, subbed and supporting Arminder, go over there. I will add a link down below. Go give him a nod. I think he actually already did an Equipoise review. So go check that out. Bye. See you on Friday, I guess.